Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the new chapter video, first video, okay, of your chapter lines and angles. So your chapter 4 is all about your lines, angles, when lines are intersecting with each other, what kind of angle it is going to form, and so on. I already you've studied the basics and a few geometrical lines, okay, geometry of these things, and you have a basic idea, right? You have studied in your previous class. Okay, let's have fun just revising the previous class, okay, knowledge. Okay, exercise 1 is totally about your of this unit it is totally about your previous knowledge. Okay, all right, let's begin with lines. So what do you understand by line? Yes, so okay, a line is just something when you draw like this. Okay, and if you give point to these lines, you're giving some point to this line at the end of this, you call this as line segment. If I'm saying that this is PQ, so you will represent this line segment as like this. Okay, this is a line segment. Okay, and we are representing it with PQ with a line on it. Okay, now if you have a single point and an arrow on the other side, you call this as a ray, isn't it? This is your line segment. Okay, this is your ray. Okay, so you represent this. If I given the name for this as CD, something like this. Okay, so you will show this as C with an arrow on it. All right, and if you have a line with arrow marks on both the sides, you simply call this as a line. If I represent this as uh, PQ or XY or AB or anything, you will say that this is a line PQ. Okay, so here if you are showing the end points of the line, you call it as line segment. Okay, one arrow you call it as a ray. Okay, and this you call it as a line. So this is your point. Okay, anything I can give the name of this as point O. All right, okay, so these are your simple lines which you already know about it. Now when two lines intersect with each other, okay, I have two lines intersecting like this with each other at some point. Okay, so if I say this point as O, all right, and this line as A and B, so whenever two lines they intersect with each other, they form some angle, isn't it? So two lines when intersecting with each other, they form some angle. So you had seen different types of angles form when the lines are intersecting with each other, or whenever you open the scissor. Okay, when the scissor it is closed, you will have both the jaws closed like this, and when you open, it give you different angles, isn't it? Let's see, revise one by one all the angles which are formed whenever two lines are intersecting. Okay, so whenever two lines are intersecting, okay, this is a line and this is an other line. All right, so this angle you formed, it is 90 degrees, isn't it? So if the angle formed when two lines are intersecting, if it is less than 90 degrees, it is called acute angle. And if it is greater than 90 degrees, okay, if it is greater, 90 degrees is here, isn't it? If it is greater than 90 degrees, okay, this angle you call as it as obtuse angle. Right angle is 90, exactly 90 degrees. Okay, and straight line, if you have a straight line, what angle it will form? And in the middle, if you take some point, the angle formed here, it is 180 degrees. Okay, if suppose the angle form is greater than 180 degrees, that is, it is coming in the negative side. Okay, like this. So this is greater than 180 degrees, isn't it? So this is your reflex angle. You studied already about this. It's just refreshing of your knowledge. Okay, so acute angle is what? Angle which is less than 90 degrees. Okay, which is formed by the intersection of two lines. The angle formed, if it is less than 90 degrees, it is what? Acute angle. And if the angle is formed, if it is greater than 90 degrees, it is obtuse. Exactly 90, it is right angle. If it is a straight line, it is what? 180 degrees. Okay, and reflex angle is what? Greater than, this is your line. Okay, this is the origin, basic line, you can say. If it angle it is forming is this, so this will be your angle which is greater than 180 degree. Okay, so if the obtuse angle, how does I can show this? This is my basic line, suppose origin. If it is greater than 90 degrees, isn't it? This is greater than 90 degrees. This will form 90, and it is greater than 90 degrees. Now acute angle is what? Less than 90 degrees. Okay, so line less than 90 degrees, wherever you take, if you take line here also, whatever angle it is forming, you call that as acute angle. Okay, so I hope you remember all these things. All right, so let's move on to the next part of your chapter. Now students, tell me, if I have lines of this type, two lines, okay, of this type, this is A and B, what are they called? They are not intersecting, right? So they are called as parallel lines. If you remember this, then it's very good. Okay, so these are parallel lines. Parallel lines are what? If you just extend these lines further, they are not going to meet at any point. Okay, if suppose I've took two lines, something like this. Okay, so are these two lines parallel lines? Yes, students, they are parallel lines? No, these are not parallel lines, because if you extend this line, two lines further, okay, they are going to meet at some point. Whereas parallel lines, if you extend them till infinity, infinite, at any point, they are not going to meet. Okay, parallel lines will not intersect. Okay, will not intersect. Whereas other lines which are not parallel, at some point they are going to intersect. Okay, if I take any point line like this, tell me, are these two lines parallel? Yes, because when you extend them, they will not meet at any point. Okay, these are also the pair of parallel lines. Now tell me, what about this? Are they parallel? Answer should be no, because when you extend this line further, it is meeting the it is intersecting the other line at some point. So this is not, that is, these are intersecting lines. Okay, all right. So now, so in previous classes you have just learnt about your acute angle, obtuse angle, right angle. Then for the straight line you will have angle of 180 degrees, and then right angle is 90 degrees, and greater than 180 degrees angle, you call it as a reflex angle. Now in yeah, this part of your stage of your class, okay, 7, you are going to study the related angles. Okay, so these all were just the angle formed whenever you have two lines intersecting. Now you'll have two angles, okay, two lines of intersecting, two pairs of angles, set of angles, you can say. Okay, so for these two angles we are going to see the relation between them. Okay, so let's, I think today we will stop for here. Okay, it's just a revision for what you have studied, and we will do your exercise 1, okay, in our Zoom meeting. And in the next video I will start with your the new topics which you are going to learn in this particular chapter for your class 7. Okay, so we are going to learn study the relation between two angles. Okay, when you have two angles, what is their relation and what is that relationship? So you have different names of the angles other than your acute, okay, obtuse, and right angle, and you have straight line angle, okay, and reflex angle. These were your um, easy, like only two lines when intersecting you get some angles, so that those angle names we you already know about this. Now two angles, okay, if one is 30-degree and the other is some 60-degree, what do you call them? Okay, so we are going to study the relation between different angles, okay, in our further part of this chapter. Okay, I would like to stop till here for today. When we meet in our class, we will do our exercise 1, inshallah, and then next further we can move in our move on with the next video and other chapters. Okay, it's actually interesting when you move on. Okay, so until we meet again, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.